to join me at the wheel of my faithful vehicular transport, or to put it another way, my car. I am driving about 1 mile up the road from Bedford to Northam, but it is a separate settlement with its own separate population data, which Patricia will tell us about now.
Northam, Devon, population 10,782, rank number 883.
I have just crossed the border into Northam Parish, but thus far everything the other side of that border does look very recognisable to anybody who has just been staying in Bedford. Now, for anybody who is fretting about whether this entire episode will take place in my car, thereby transgressing the spirit, if not the letter, of the regulations determining whether I have actually made a visit, I will admit that a certain amount will be conducted from my vehicle, but...
Right, that's it. Just because the listeners can put up with this drivel doesn't mean that I can. Pull over and let me out.
Well, I'm sorry you feel like that, Patricia, but I shouldn't have to remind you that since the last time you threatened to walk out, I have already paid you up front for the whole of this series.
Glad to see you've got your priorities right, but don't worry, there's a CD in the glove box with your precious voiceovers. I'm sure your Investors in People award will be in the post. Enjoy the rest of the trip. Now I need to get to Newquay while the surf's still up. Ciao.
Oh dear. Do you think it was something I said? Whilst it pains me to admit it, maybe driving around in a car doesn't make for great content. After all, how many people ever bothered watching Top Gear? Just before I park up, however, there are one or two background geographical facts worth mentioning. First is that Northam is a civil parish with its own town council, even if it has been compelled since 1974 to constitute part of Torridge District, along with its larger neighbour, Bedford. This parish, however, includes the pretty fishing village of Appledore, and less aesthetically, if more amusingly for me, Westward Ho, whose trailing exclamation mark is my first brush with punctuation in a place name since Bonus back in episode 920. Westward Ho is something of a construct, having been named for the locally set 1855 Charles Kingsley novel of that name. A quick scoot around its sprawling holiday park in the car seems more than enough before returning to Northam to park up and explore. I have entered St Margaret's Church, which, like St Mary's in Bedford, was clearly overhauled internally in the 19th century. However, the exterior shows its genuine antiquity, including a 15th century tower with a commanding view across the Bristol Channel to Lundy Island, sadly not accessible to me today. Internally, I make do with an inscription of 1593 showing typically casual disregard for English as we know it, dating one of the Isles to that year and somehow spelling the word Y-E-L-E. Playing Scrabble against an Elizabethan mason must have been a nightmare. We are currently stood on Bone Hill. There's a passage here entitled Legendary Historical Coastal Invaders. 19th century legend records the invasion in 878 AD of the Dane, King Hubba, who landed at Appledore but was vanquished at Bloody Corner, though burials here probably date from the Battle of Northam. In June 1069, an Irish raiding army led by two sons of King Harold landed in Appledore. They plundered Northam, and Normans led by Brian of Brittany launched a surprise attack. The Irish escaped at nightfall, but left 1,700 dead. Their defeat confirmed the Norman conquest. My own little run in here seems pretty trivial by comparison as I escape without casualties to the remainder of this series in Cornwall. See you there.
Get way down.